In order to get started programming in C++ for Unreal Engine, we need an IDE. An IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment and contains a bunch of tools for programmers, such as a text editor, a debugger, a compiler, and a whole bunch of features that make our programming experience more comfortable. For this tutorial series, we'll be using Visual Studio Community 2019 because I'm on a Windows system. But if you're on a Mac, you can use Xcode, which you can get from the Mac App Store. There's also Visual Studio Code, which is compatible with Windows, Linux, and Mac, so you can use that as well. So make sure you download one of these three IDEs for your machine. Now, since we're using Visual Studio Community 2019 in this video, I'm going to show you a few things you can do to configure Visual Studio to best suit you for Unreal Engine programming. Once you download Visual Studio Community, you get the Visual Studio installer, which allows you to specify which modules to include with your version of Visual Studio. Make sure to select Desktop Development with C++. Scroll down and select Game Development with C++. You'll see over here to the right, under Optional, C++ Profiling Tools, the Address Sanitizer, and Windows 10 SDK. Optionally, you can select Unreal Engine Installer here, and you'll get Unreal Engine installed along with Visual Studio. Now, I already have Visual Studio installed, so it's asking if I want to modify. If you don't have Visual Studio installed yet, you'll have a button that says Install down here. So go ahead and click Install to continue your installation. Once you have Visual Studio installed, you can click Continue without code and you'll have the IDE open and ready for you. Mine has the dark theme enabled. If you want the dark theme, you can go to Tools, Options, Environment, General, and Color Theme. There's light, blue, and blue extra contrast. I prefer dark because it's easier on my eyes. The next thing we're going to configure is this drop down here which says Solution Configurations. You'll see that mine's a little bit wider, and this allows me to read the configuration that we're currently on. Right-click on the toolbar and select Customize. Click on the Commands tab and select Toolbar. In the drop-down next to Toolbar, scroll down and find Standard. Here in Solution Configurations, select this and click Modify Selection and set the width to 200. And this will give your toolbar a width of 200 here. You also want this Solution Platforms dropdown if you don't already have it. So find the drop-down button here that says Standard Toolbar Options and click on it. And click Add or Remove Buttons and look for Solution Platforms. Make sure you have this checked so that you can see the Solution Platforms dropdown. Next, we want to turn off the error list window. Typically, the error list window pops up automatically when you have an error in your code. However, when working with Unreal Engine, the error list window can display some false error information. So it's best to disable the error list window and use the output window instead to see real code errors when we're working with Unreal Engine. So first, close the error list window if it's open. Next, from Tools, go to Options. Close the Environment dropdown, click on Projects and Solutions. Make sure you have disabled Always Show Error List if build finishes with errors. Make sure that's unchecked. Then click OK. Next, we're going to turn off Show Inactive Blocks. If we don't, many chunks of code will appear grayed out in the text editor. So go to Tools, Options, Text Editor, open this dropdown and select C, C++, open that and select View, and here where it says Show Inactive Blocks, set that to False. Next, we're going to set Disable External Dependencies folders to True to hide unneeded folders in the Solution Explorer. So here in Text Editor C, C++, click Advanced and find Disable External Dependencies folders. Set that to True. Finally, we're going to turn off Edit and Continue features since we don't need them. Go to the Debugging section and uncheck Enable Edit and Continue. We don't need these features. Click OK. Finally, if you want line numbers in your code, you can go to Tools, Options, Text Editor, C, C++, and check the checkbox next to line numbers, and then you'll have numbers next to each line in your code, which allows you to keep track a little bit easier. Click OK. Now that we have Visual Studio all set up and ready for us, we're ready to dive in to Unreal Engine.